right, Professor Band. Do I have a YouTube channel? Yes, I do. I have several different social medias, and they're all linked on my website of my profile page at TikTok. And I actually just recently started uploading all of my playlists on YouTube also. I have playlists on my profile page of TikTok. My website's on there with all kinds of free information as well. If you want to browse around, feel free. But I linked my playlists, my YouTube playlists, on my website, and I started putting my commerce videos in a little more better order. And I think I need to do the same on TikTok. But yeah, I thought it might be a little loud. I started turning it down. Something I don't know. Anyway, it's hard to tell if it's too loud to y'all or not, and that's why I'm always asking. So what's up with everybody? How's things going? It's Friday. Good news. So a couple interesting things happened to me on my last video that I posted on TikTok, and this was new to me. You know, TikTok be messing around. So I posted a video on taxes, and I had been waiting for so long, ever since Bree Divine posted that one video giving false information, and I don't know, her video's got like 1.2 million views or something, and I wanted to correct her again, like I did when she tried to send people out traveling without a license, without having the understanding and foundation. And I'd been waiting to do this tax video. I finally just released it, and because I was doing spiritual stuff, and I wanted to get the spiritual stuff updated, and I actually need to start doing natural stuff too. I'm thinking about doing a video on like chemtrails and DEWs, directed energies and stuff like that. But so I released my video. I was expecting it to be like a normal commerce video. My commerce videos go anywhere from 30 to 200,000 views, off the bat, like off the rip. So TikTok surprised me in two ways. So I posted my video, and when I went to view it, I had never seen this before, and I don't know if this was because I have a business account, or because of the last video I had made where I put TikTok on blast, talking about why are you sending my videos to children. So I went back on my video after I posted it, and it had 4 options. It was like tell us what you're looking for, and the 4 options were like, you want more views fast or quickly, or you want more views slower over time. And then the other 2 options were like more follows or more likes or something like that. And none of those are what I really want or care about, right? What I want to do is wake more people up and educate people to what is actually going on in the world outside of what the mainstream media and the narratives that get pushed to the public are. And so I just kind of X'd it out. I was like, none of these are what I'm actually trying to do. So anyway, that was surprising. And then it's only at it's been 2 days, and it's only like 5,000 views. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what in the world? I just broke down the entire tax system so that everybody could understand, and it's like only 5,000, and it's getting shared, commented, liked, saved a favorite, like more than most videos. And I'm just like, what is TikTok doing? So in my mind, I'm wondering if they're just gonna release it slowly to like a lot of people over time, or if it just ain't gonna go nowhere. Because typically when you release a video, your first day is going to tell you how your traffic is going to be. And for instance, my when I showed people how to block EMF from entering their home through smart meters, the first day it saw 180,000 people. It saw 350,000 people. Then the next day it saw like 70,000 people. Then it just slowly, over the course of like a year, has seen like another 50,000 people or something. So it's like your first day really tells you how well your video is gonna react. It ramps up and then slowly comes down. Metatron, thanks for letting me know that the volume's a little better. Anybody got any questions? This is I set this time aside on Friday so I can help answer any questions anybody has. If y'all got any issues, or if the IRS has issues, or the mortgage company, or whatever. All right, Metatron, say I create, let's say, an LLC to operate through, never work again through or as an employee. How do I go to the doctor? All right, so I'm going to tell you what you can do. You can create a trust and express it. For instance, let's say you have a child. For an example, for the child, you can create a true title of ownership over them, record that, certify it out, create a trust for them with their name, all capital letters, just like a U.S. citizen. Get a tax identification number for them. You can use that TIN for doing stuff like health insurance, for IRS purposes and stuff like that. You just have to be very clear. If it says Social Security, you got to scratch that out and put TIN, or don't put any Social Security. And then if somebody comes and asks, like, oh, we need a Social Security number for this kid, say, it's illegal, first of all, to say you have to have one. So you can, I have all that information on my Social Security folder of commerce. Or if they bug you and say, oh, the IRS says we have to in order to blah blah. Okay, say, all right, fine. Here's the federal TIN or TIN number for that entity. You don't got to say it's a trust, because all citizens are trusts anyway. So you just say, here's the TIN, and you give that information to them, and they're happy. It's the same thing that works with like a marriage or yourself. You could do the same exact thing. You can operate almost the same exact way out in the public with a trust that you create and give a tax identification number, except for it's not going to have all those liens on it. It's not going to have the Social Security lien, the medical lien, and then you typically, I would probably suggest being a 1099 employee if you're going to work for a for-profit corporation. And that's basically what I broke down on my last video talking about taxes. And when you're engaged in a for-profit system in a federal zone, there's a tax liability, and you have to be very careful of how you operate, especially when you're messing with Federal Reserve notes, because that type of system is set up where people that work for profit is a very, very greedy type of system, and they try to prevent that. I mean, they tell you right there in the IRS codes, if you're going to be trying to help humanity out by doing scientific research or education and stuff like that, they're not going to tax you, right? Now, if you're working for an employer whose greedy ultimate goal is to basically enslave its employees and not care about them and try to make profit off of every single thing that everybody does, then they're going to tax you because you are an employee that's helping that system. So no, it's not Evolving Seeds. This isn't a laptop. This is a computer. I have two dual monitors, and I'm running a it's almost like a TikTok platform for gaming, I guess you'd say, because I was doing all my lives on my phone originally, and this is just a much more better user experience. I went on the website of Evolving Seeds. I saw it. By the way, I meant to tell you, I appreciate it. I went on there. I saw all my stuff on there, and that was pretty cool. I appreciate that. It took me a little bit of digging to find it, but when I found it, I really appreciate that, for real. And I just mentioned on the beginning of this live, I just posted all my playlists on YouTube, and I linked them on my website. So if you go on my website, there's a new tab called Playlists, and now you can go to YouTube or watch them on my website as well. Because not everybody has TikTok, not everybody has, Truth Social, Twitter, Telegram, YouTube. Everybody's got different things, and that's kind of why I'm all over the place. It's on the home page now. I'm gonna have to go check it out again. Evolving Seeds. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Much appreciated. Like I said, all this stuff is free and for everybody to try to benefit and edify all the people out there to become awake. It's not a very sometimes it's a lonely walk, but there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us that are trying to become awake, and the unfortunate side effect about how human nature is typically we are we're not into preventative maintenance. We're more into putting out fires. So when there's an issue that is under our feet, then all of a sudden we jump, and then usually we don't try to keep going down the paths of education and knowledge. Metatron, I'm thinking my philosophical overstanding is on point to finally make some moves. Awesome. Yeah, you can make a typical, like a trust that's somewhat like a citizen. You don't have to use the U.S. citizen. It'll have less liens on it, and then you can do business. But like I said in my last video for taxes, it depends on how you do business that you're going to be taxed or not. And you can create the trust outside of U.S. jurisdiction. You can get a Republican EIN for it if you want to. Evolving Seeds, no problem. You tackled the beast. Our world is featuring those who are doing the war the best. Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm glad. I've had this knowledge and information for a very long time, and the time is now to start releasing it. And it's weird because I've always known that I'm supposed to be studying, I'm supposed to be learning this stuff, and I was studying for years and years, and I was always told that I was going to help people through the airways and stuff like that, but it all came together in a really weird way through TikTok. It's like I just started making funny or weird videos on TikTok, and then all of a sudden my one video went almost viral, and then I was like, oh, I can actually reach people, and I have reached millions of people. I don't have millions of likes, but that's how it works anyway. My videos have gone out to millions of people, and I'm really appreciative. And my 2 videos ago, I was kind of upset that TikTok was pushing my videos to 11, 12, and 13-year-old children, and it's like, why is that my default audience? Like, I would love to help kids, but my videos are not tailored to kids. And even on YouTube, when I posted my playlist, it's like, is this for kids? Like, no, this isn't for kids. This is stuff for kind of adults. Like, kids want to play Barbies and freaking, they ain't worried about the stuff that I'm teaching. It's up to the parents to grasp this stuff and then teach it to their children. All right. Evolving Seas, no problem. Yep, thank you. Metatron, yeah, we can make a date, buddy. You DM me. Sometimes, I don't get on my DMs like I should, but during the weekend I get a little more freed up, and at night and stuff like that when I'm just kind of chilling, or in the morning sometimes I'll wake up a little early and go through. Yeah, you can hit me up on Telegram. Hit me up on TikTok, either way. All right, Lance Concepts. I'm wondering if it's the Treasury Department for accounting or the 1099-A route. For what, Lance? You got to be more specific. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to? Yeah, you got to tell me what you're trying to do, buddy. Evolving Seeds. Oh, your job is to feature. That's awesome. Now, I looked at some of the other people and other sites that you have on there, and I'm appreciative of your work as well. It's good work. Discharging debt. Lance, have you watched my videos or my playlists on commerce, where I talk about the 4 main doors, debt collectors, discharging debt, contract, trust law? Like, I'm sitting there going through my YouTube channel. I'm trying to put them in order where, what's the best way to try to release this, and I think I need to reorder my ones on TikTok as well. But I don't know if you've seen those videos, but it helps lay the understanding of everything, including how to discharge debt, how to set it off, and how and why it all works. And one of the worst things that we can do is try to engage in things that we have no clue about. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And then when you start trying to jump into things and you don't know how or why it works, just like using Federal Reserve notes. Hey, none of us have a clue how dealing in commercial activities with Federal Reserve notes work, but we're all doing it every day, and we're presumed to know what we're doing by our actions, even though we don't. And so that's one of the hardest things to grasp, is we're presumed to know what we are doing. And like I said, I don't know if you've watched my videos. If you had, it should help out a lot with understanding how and why debts can be discharged, where they're getting discharged, how you can create your own remedy, how you can create your own law, how you can bring that in and enforce it, all that stuff through my PAP videos and all that stuff. Just my theory. You are the lender. Use your credits to pay your bills. So we're the original issuer on credits for, if you're talking about like a mortgage or a car loan or whatever. Our signature actually is what creates an asset on the books, but here's how it works. Is on the back of any check, you have to sign it. You can't deposit a check without signing it. And guess who signs the back of a promissory note? The CFO of any bank is the one who signs the back of the check to deposit it in order to create the funds. They're the ones that are actually in charge of the debt obligations and liabilities on that. However, Congress has authorized banks to monetize signatures on promissory notes, our signatures, right? And you can call them out on all that. Basically, our signatures create the funds, and the CFO is the one who's responsible. Now, when I'm going to make a video soon, I don't know if my next one's going to be on getting true title to the house, or clear up some of these false teachings that are going around and spreading like wildfire that are so annoying to me, that I constantly get confronted with all the time. Like, you have an indentured trustee at a bank. No, you don't. Like, what are these other things? Like, common law is the highest form of law. Like, no contracts are valid. Now, from what David Wynn Miller has broken down through parse syntax, he can legally prove that no treaties, no contracts are properly grammatically formed and break it down that way. But that's not how the legal system works. The legal system does not operate on what is truthful, justice, or right or lawful. If you can prove it in court, it stands as a fact. So the legal system doesn't work through actual truth or any of that stuff. Now, the other thing, secured party creditor and stuff like that is that's no good. I kind of touched on it on my set-off video, I believe, about how secured party creditor is garbage. But and like I said, I have seen people get remedies that way, because you can bring any type of not any. You got to understand the court protocols and courtroom mechanics in order to submit evidence, because one of the courtroom typical rules is anything done outside in the public is considered hearsay, and that's why I always suggest everybody to research exceptions to the hearsay rule. So Lance, if you're trying to discharge debts, depends on what you want to do. There's like all kinds of different ways. You can set it off. You can discharge it. You could give Federal Reserve notes. That's a form of setting it off, because you're not really paying it. A Federal Reserve note is a promise to pay one day. It's not actually paying anything. Lentz Concepts. Yeah, your videos are a big help. I'm wanting to write a letter for my credit card company, administrative process, and then to conditional acceptance. So you typically want to conditionally accept the offer off the bat as the first notice of interest. So when they send you something, you'd want to like do a conditional acceptance, give them a notice of interest, then you want to do a notice of fault, and then a notice of default declaratory judgment. And that is basically a higher court's judgment proceedings that you can bring in anywhere, and it would basically force them. But if you're trying to do the 1099A route, that's where you get them into an agreement that basically says that the debt's uncollectible or doesn't exist, and with the judgment, you can basically use the judgment, and that is considered an asset. Once you do a three-part process, that is considered an asset that you can tender to the IRS and basically cancel the debt, acquire it, and then you have to claim it as income and pay taxes on it. But that's, it's up to you if you want to go that route. There's so many different ways to handle debts. It's up to you how you want to handle it. And the same thing with court. There's 78 billion ways to handle a court case. There's 78 billion ways to handle a debt. It just depends on how and what you're trying to do. So what's going on with everybody? Anybody got any other questions? I'm here for y'all. This is the Charles Show for dedicated time to help anybody and everybody out there. P. Cruz, I got a certified auto contract and the payment is incorrect. That contract fraudulent. You got a certified auto contract? All right, you got a certified auto. Is it? You mean auto is like automobile contract, and the payment is incorrect? Is that contract fraudulent? Not if you haven't like responded to it or replied to it. If it depends on what your original loan agreement. Now, what I mentioned earlier is even though our signatures create the asset on the books for the banks to monetize, and you basically are the underwriter for the funds and create it, they turn around and define us as a lender, a borrower. They define us as a user, as a borrower, and we agree to all that stuff. And then you agree to the contract terms and conditions, and then they start. And then guess what? Then you consummate the marriage by making payments. So this is why everybody gets their head bashed in, is because even though your signature creates the money, then they turn around and call us a borrower. Then you pay. Then you start paying on it. You receive the asset. The asset is really just the promotional thing that goes along with the contract agreement. The contract agreement is really the asset. The car is just the promotional item that comes with the contract. Same thing when you buy something from a store, the receipt is the actual title. The item that you get is just like the promotional thing that comes with it. The real true value comes in that title of ownership. And that's why I try to teach everybody about true title and stuff, and how to gain ownership on everything. All right, so P. Cruz. So it's not fraudulent unless you call them out on it. Because like I said, in the world of legalese, it doesn't matter what the truth is. They can try to enforce anything. And if you stay silent when they start sending you stuff, they could send you a $10 million bill. And if you start paying on it, then it's all good. You know, it's just how things work. All right, Lance Concept. That's why you are here, and I'm all ears. Thanks, man. Metatron, how do I create a business that is not connected to a social security number? You can create any kind of business any way you want. You can create a trust. You can make it a one-pager. You can make it a 6,000 pager. You can do whatever you want. And then once you create the entity, you can either register it in the state to do business and then get a tax identification number, or you don't have to register it. You can call like a Republican form of government in it and mention like the sovereign state of California or wherever you're at as the jurisdiction that's on the document, and then just go to the IRS and get a TIN. And then, but be careful, if you're going to try to engage in certain types of public commerce with that entity and it's not registered to do public business, there could be an issue. Typically, in the public, when you're trying to do public to public, you want to have of like kind interfacing with like kind, and you don't have to though. The public needs some type of dead entity corporation to interface with. But if you're going to be like engaged as an employee or something like that, you typically want to be careful if it's not registered to do business in the public. You can create your own sovereign trust, but next thing I know, if you're trying to go at it to get Federal Reserve notes in a public venue in a federal zone and you're not registered to do business in the public, there could be an issue because you're kind of commingling between private and public in that kind of way. You don't have to engage in business in that manner. Like for instance, two sovereign trusts, two sovereign corporations can trade and borrow any way they want. For instance, I could create a pure sovereign trust outside of all U.S. jurisdiction, and I could transfer $10 million of gold bullion to another pure sovereign trust that's outside of U.S. jurisdiction, and the U.S. can't interfere. They cannot interfere, especially if we have contractual obligations between each other and we try to set up a security agreement and we enforce and stuff. The U.S. can't interfere in that. Their hands are tied. But if one of those entities is registered to do business in the public and it's registered in a corporate state, then all of a sudden all these rules and obligations and underlying duties apply to that entity. So you've got to be careful, when you're doing certain business. But like going to go to the doctor or whatever, that's typically you'll be fine. But if you start trying to like go to work or something like that, like there could be issues when you're dealing in that manner. All right, P. Cruz, yes. User 223980505384. Charles, thank you for sharing. What do you have to say about billing errors at dealership? It depends on what the error is and what you're trying to do with the error thereof. I mean, what was the error, and what are you trying to like get out of the error? Are you trying, because typically they're honorable because they're bound by federal rules, policies, codes, and statutes, and they can't do but so much. They are authorized, banks are, and they typically, dealerships usually aren't the bank, but there used to be some of them that do everything in-house. Banks are authorized to monetize signatures on our promissory note. All right, so thanks for the sharing of the live. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. P. Cruz, I received the title clear and free. All right, P. Cruz, did you get the MCO or MSO, or did you just get the title that says Certificate of Title? Because since 1933, all titles have been split, and we are the trustees of the state's property if the car has been registered. They have the MCO, the true controlling title of it, and we become the trustees of that item. Native Beauty, hi, how you doing? Thank you. Metatron Trucking Company. All right, so if you're going to be engaged in interstate commerce, or are you trying to do like charity work? Because there's a big difference between trying to do like profit, or if you're trying to create a trust to work for the company that you work for now, there's typically going to be a tax liability because you're supporting a for-profit corporation. Now, if you're working for a nonprofit and then you're a 1099 employee and your trust is outside of U.S. jurisdiction, you should be kind of good because you're not engaged in for-profit. Your entity is outside of U.S. jurisdiction, but the entity that you're engaging with and contracting with is in U.S. jurisdiction, so they are bound by certain rules and regulations, but your entity would not be. So it depends on how you contract with them. All right, thanks for the sharing of the live. Metatron, when we talk trucking company, benefit, society, and family ministry. Okay, so if you're the corporation soul is a good route, and eventually I'm going to make a video on that as well. I'm gonna start getting into a little bit of nature and commerce again now that I'm done some of the spiritual stuff, and it's reached a few people. All right, Big Boss Dawn, were you just saying if you're operating in the public, you can't really operate in the private? I mean, yeah, you can't mix public and private, but I think I just touched on that. If you're going to create a trust corporation or entity that's outside of U.S. jurisdiction, you're good. You're free and clear. The U.S. can't interfere or interact or like engage unless you want them to, right? Because that's one of the rules of being a sovereign, is like, as long as you're not, in common law, you're not harming anybody or doing, they can't interfere with that kind of stuff. But when you start engaging in Federal Reserve notes, you start engaging in public commerce, you start engaging for profit, you start playing around in federal zones, like using zip codes and using stuff like that, you're giving up jurisdiction. So it's, all these things we aren't taught, but it's just stuff that takes time to learn, and that's why I'm here trying to lay all the foundations and help everybody as best I can. All right, so Lance Concepts. I'm trademarking my name and then setting up an LLC in Wyoming. Do you know if New Mexico is better? So all of the sovereign republic states are still operating in the background. If you're going to call, a sovereign republic state, you're good, and especially as long as you deal in silver and gold and stuff like that. But when you start dealing in Federal Reserve notes, be careful, because that is a commercial activity that is a very, very tricky double-edged sword, because that is private military war script that's somebody else's property. So guys, this live will be on YouTube. The audio will be on my Telegram group. Thanks for the support. All right, so Chad Mitchell, do I need to have an LLC if I am just trading my time for a service small business need? You can create any type of business entity you want to do any type of business that you want to engage in. You just got to know the rules of the game depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to mess with Federal Reserve notes, then you want to be very careful. If you're just trying to like barter or trade or exchange, or if you're trying to say you're exchanging your services for Federal Reserve notes, then hey, guess what? That's a privately owned military war script commercial instrument that you're giving up jurisdiction on. Now, if you want to trade your services for gold or silver or gum or anything like that, like, you're good. As long as you're working on, like I say, you can do stuff under the table and there's no tax liability. You can gift, barter, trade, exchange, and stuff like that. Big Boss Don, can you do both public and private separately? Yeah, absolutely. We're both public and private in one. You have thoughts that are private, but you can emanate the energy outward, and you also have a flesh body that is kind of the public vessel that we interface with the public with, right? But you have private thoughts. So you are both entities in one. And a lot of people don't say have a forked tongue, but we are two entities in one. We have a private spirit that's inside of us, and we have a public natural flesh body that's typically bound by the natural light. So you can wear both hats. You could be a U.S. citizen. You could be a national. You can do whatever you want. And it took me a long time. And I was just talking to one of my supporters, or fans, I should say, that it took me a long time to come full circle to realize that the system that has been established is pretty honorable as long as you understand how it all works. But how we all get tripped up is we're constantly being fed misinformation, and it sounds so good to be true, and we're purposely taught falsely, and it spreads like wildfire, and it trips us all up. But once you understand the big picture, how everything works, how the police are our servants, how the courts are there for our benefit, all this stuff, how you can create your own law and get your own remedy through the contracts that you keep, like, it's really a beautiful harmonic system. It kind of forces people to get up and be productive in society. Yeah, I wish everything was not for profit, but I enjoy being able to turn on the light switch. I enjoy, like, if something breaks, I can call Amazon and get a freaking metric hex screw brought to my house or something like that. So it's like a double-edged sword. I just wish everything was not for profit. Then everybody would make much more money. It would be a much more honorable system because there's not people trying to hide massive amounts of money and work off corporate greed and trying to hide and do things. So, and guys, a not-for-profit, you can make massive amounts of money not-for-profit. You can make massive. You can do everything a for-profit can. The IRS just wants to know where the money is. That's all. And the money could go to the CEO. Or it could be part of the business where you're buying a truck, or you're buying a car, or you're buying a jet, or you're buying supplies, or all these things can be for the corporation and be not for profit and not be taxed. There are public filings that you can create and show everybody that you're tax free. Like when you're going to stores, you don't have to pay taxes on supplies for the not-profit. You could buy everything that you normally do. You can go get food, you can go get gas. Now, excise tax is one of the hardest things I think to try to avoid, is getting gas tax-free. I think there's going to be an excise tax on it somehow, but I like electric anyway, even though, well, I don't like how the batteries are sourced. I've seen some really crappy videos that show that they use like underage labor, and it's like all kinds of really messed up conditions, and that's one of the reasons why for-profit sucks so bad, is because we have these huge monster beasts of the field corporations over here in the US that are like using these foreign children that are in poor conditions, paying them next to nothing, like 3 pennies a day, to like inhale lithium and like all this other stuff in mines to like try to make batteries for a car, because they're subbing it out to the cheapest people, because it's all about the bottom dollar. So they want to get the best product they can for as cheap as possible, and that's why for-profit is an insidious system, and the IRS knows that, and the creditors of the US know that. And it's like, it's so hard to come to the realization that everything is honorable if you understand how it all works. It's a very, very tricky game, but we're not taught any of this stuff. Alright, so P. Cruz, can a court interfere with a power of attorney between two people? Not typically. It depends on what the terms and conditions are on a power of attorney. They can try to trick you. One of the funniest things is when I first started my secured party creditor crap, they try to get you to do a power of attorney between the human and the U.S. citizen, and it's like, it's so stupid. Like, you're already the authorized representative for the state's property. Like, it's so crazy. And then I had this one guy, freaking Tim Damron, man, I can't stand. he made me laugh though. It was like when you're trying to write for a U.S. citizen, write it like a child, because it's like a dead entity. It's like, it can't think. It's the straw man. Like, write it like in crayon or something like that. And it's just so wild doing a power of attorney between a human and the public doesn't. They usually disregard stupid stuff like that. You're the authorized representative for the citizen. All right, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Does it have a liability? Well, then set it off. Or do something else. Like get a contract that says that. Remember, there's no such thing as involuntary servitude, so they have to get our agreements because we're the trustees of their property, right? It is their property, but they have to get our agreement because we're the trustees. We're in charge of all the debts, duties, and obligations. You don't have to use the U.S. citizen. You can dock it. You can do whatever you want with it. But if there's a liability, guess what? Typically, the human, the authorized representative, needs to figure out a way to handle it. All right, now, Lance concepts. So in the private, silver, gold, or barter, public is the privilege to use. Yes, that is actually a benefit. Taxes are a benefit for the U.S. citizen. Using Federal Reserve notes is a benefit for the U.S. citizen. Using public services like police and they work for we the people on a true level. Now, they're taught, just like we are, that they think they have all jurisdiction, and what typically happens is, just like in Masonic learning and teachings, is the people down at the bottom have no clue what's really going on. Once you start going up the ladder, you start getting into like lieutenants or whatever, they kind of understand contract law. Like, you could say, I conditionally accept granting and conveying a security interest in my fingerprints upon proof of a bona fide claim or valuable consideration. And the people down at the bottom are going to be like, what? But you get up to like a lieutenant or something like that, they're going to be like, what do you consider valuable consideration? You're going to be like, well, I'll give you my fingerprints for, I don't know, $10,000 or something like that. They'd be like, kick rocks, right? But it's a contract. It's contract offering, and contracts are enforceable. All right, so, but typically, yeah, silver and gold are outside, and that's why it blew my mind when I started learning about how money works and stuff. And I'm like, it's so crazy that you can buy silver and gold with Federal Reserve notes, because that Federal Reserve note is like a worthless promise to pay one day that never comes. But yeah, you can silver and gold and contracting outside of U.S. jurisdiction, and you're good. Like, if you have two sovereign entities that are established outside of U.S. jurisdiction, they're not registered in the public or controlled by the public, they can contract in any way, shape, or form that they want, and the U.S. can't interfere. And if they do, they're going to be liable for engaging in interfering with contracts, which is like a federal felony. Now, listen, guys, I'm saying all this stuff, and you got to understand also that a lot of these police that are down at the bottom don't care about what you say or what you know. Like, there are cops, like when I was in jail, I was locked up for 3 years, all right? And there were all kinds of different cops, because they're just people, just like you and me, just like you'll run into all day, every day. Some of them were cool. Some of them were there because they got picked on in school and had authority problems. Some of them didn't care about what you like. They're like, I'm God around here, stuff like that. They're just people, just like you and me, And there are cops out there that it's a scary, dangerous job. Like, you've got to think like what they have to deal with out there on the streets. A lot of people cannot stand them. Like, they look at them as enemies. They call them pigs and all this stuff. And they're actually there to protect and serve us, the humans, like the real sovereign people. And they're out there putting on their freaking guns and vests and trying to protect us and stuff. But some of them, yeah, they'll pistol whip you. Even, they don't care. They don't want no lip. Like, when I got raided, I had my hands up, and they slammed me on the ground, put their knee in my back. But these were like flak jacket enforcement officers with freaking AKs with like infrared laser beams on them and stuff. Like, for me, and they didn't even find anything in my house. Crazy. All right, so Lance. So in the private, yep, that's right, Lance. All right, Metatron. Can my citizen get a job and have the employer donate its paycheck to charity? Yes, but remember that they are bound by certain rules and obligations. And what you would typically want to do is set up a charity outside of it, but not be an employer or an employee to that system. You would want to contract with them outside of being an employee, because typically an employee has to sign a W-4 or a W-8 BEN. A W-8 BEN is for a foreign entity. So you could do a W-8BEN, but again, you got to be careful if you're engaged in for-profit commerce in a federal zone, because at the end of the day, they could call you out on that, and you can, there's people that can get, like, I've seen people get remedies for the secured party creditor process. It's not right, it's not honorable, but they do the same thing all day long. They enforce stuff in the public, that in the legal system, that isn't lawful or right at all, So the same thing could happen in that situation, where you create a trust, you engage in for-profit as a foreigner with a W-8BEN, and you could possibly get by if it's a small company. If it's a large company that starts dealing in federal banking and federal rules and regulations and stuff, you want to be very careful, especially depending on what kind of commerce or commercial activities they're engaged in, like international interstate commerce, because each state is a nation, and if you're going to be trucking products for profit across international state lines, that's basically like RICO right there. You're dealing in international commercial activities between nation states. So that's a federally registered. That's what the U.S. was created for, guys. That's what the federal the Articles of Confederation that established the U.S. was all about. It was about creating basically the United States to govern interstate commerce between each nation state, because the states were growing and they were getting pretty big, and they wanted to pass the debts on. All right, the POA was notarized, which is part of the SOS. So whenever I have a notary do something, I typically want to put it inside of a box, and also at the bottom say that a notary, using a notary on this document isn't giving up jurisdiction. It's for the rules of evidence and for a witness and all that stuff. Now, I actually have a little box on my private administrative procedure that shows what you can put if you're having a notary do some work for you. But the POA is it's the same thing. When you do a POA, it's the same thing that you do with an attorney. When an attorney is in there representing you, just like you're basically already the POA of your U.S. citizen. You are in charge of all of the duty. You are the trustee, right, of all of the duties, obligations, and liabilities of that U.S. citizen. The same thing happens now when you are an attorney. The funny thing is when you are attorneying them, their job is to the public and protect the system, and they're representing you, your U.S. citizen, but they're not bound by any of the duties, obligations, or liabilities of it. They're just there, set up by Britain and the Crown in order to fleece basically the citizens and send money back to the king. All right, so Lulu, funny, I had a question. I was about to message Lee Daniel, same time your live popped up. Okay, well, I'm here. Is Daniel the is that the Liberator? I think I actually did an interview with him, and it was a long time ago, and I was hoping he'd post it, but I think that when I said that I am not bound by greed or commerce or care about money, and I help everybody for free, I think he didn't want to post my my interview, because I was because that's what he's doing. He's trying to get money off of everybody for something, so for teaching the same thing that I teach for free. So he enjoyed interviewing me, and he learned a lot from me. And then I was saying I do, and I didn't mean to. It was just by accident. I basically said, I teach everybody all this stuff for free, and I don't care about money. And I don't think he wanted to post my interview because of that, because then he'd be losing revenue to me for stuff that everybody else tries to teach. Chelsea, thanks for the 10 plus share again. Thanks for joining. Planner, how do you tackle IRS bills? There's 78 billion ways to tackle them. How do you want to do it? It's up to you. You are the author and creator of your own destiny, my friend. You get to do it however you want. And I am a plant eater too, my friend. Start saying my friend instead of man, woman, or human entity. Little typer on the screen. Big Boss Dawn, do you have a course? If so, what does it teach and how much? All of my services are free. My website's free. Guys, this live will be on YouTube. My YouTube is linked to my website, which is on my profile page of TikTok. My website is anointednewfoundationofpeace.life, and you can browse all the information for free. I have playlists. So Dawn, I have playlists on my profile page of TikTok. I also have them linked on my website if you want to look at them. I always suggest to people to watch those in order. Foundation, Nature, Spirit, and Commerce. On my website, I also have a class folder of all the stuff that it took that I studied for 10 years in order to get where I'm at. And it's all free. All of the courses that I paid for. There's Emergency War Power Acts. There's Secured Party Creditor. That's garbage up there. There's all kinds of stuff that I downloaded, like dictionaries, Black's Law, like 1 through 9. All kinds of stuff. Plain Eater, love you too. Appreciate it. Daydream Believer, hello, beautiful. How are you? Thanks for joining. I love all your healings. It's always great to get some peace every once in a while through the madness of life. Veronica, hola. How you doing? Coco, how do you handle foreclosures? So foreclosures is a very hard thing to handle because you're dealing with something called a mortgage, which is a death grip, and you are basically involved in contracts that you get behind in and a default. And we as humans are very lazy, and once we start to get a fire under our butts, then all of a sudden we try to jump and try to learn everything. But what happens is it's basically like a marriage. Even though your signature on a promissory note created the funds that the bank was authorized to monetize and created an asset on their books, when they turn around and define you as the borrower, and then you start paying, you consummated that marriage. By your actions, you are consummating the validity by getting in the house, by paying on it. You're enjoying the benefits of the contract, and you consummated it by paying on it. And then all of a sudden you get behind, you're like, oh, it's all fraud, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, you've got to start getting them into a private administrative procedure in order to change the terms and conditions of the contract that you originally signed for, because right now your acts and actions have shown that you're in default and you're in dishonor. And when it comes to commercial activities, when you are in dishonor, you are basically belligerent. You're not at peace, you're not in love, you're not in harmony. You have to bring harmony to the books one way or another. That's all it's about. It's all about business accounting. And right now you're bad business. And that's why they typically do background checks on people before they quote unquote loan anything, is because they don't feel like trying to deal with foreclosures. They don't try to deal with trying to repo cars and all that stuff. It's just is what it is. So Daydream Believer, I want to reach out to you about my new venture. Absolutely, you can DM. We DM. Don't be shy. I ain't afraid to holler. Solo, my man Charles, that's good. You're welcome. Solo, the next thing I see is I want a divorce. My man Charles, that's good. I want a divorce. Veronica, happy Friday. Yes, we're all. Thank you, Veronica, my moderator. Much appreciated. Solo, yeah, you can divorce. It's very easy. Solo, notice the cure. You mean notice of cure? So it's a notice of interest, notice of fault, notice of default. Declaratory judgment. That's basically a sovereign's judicial proceedings in order to, from a higher court. Like our courts as sovereigns, like I said, one of the definitions of sovereigns is wherever one of the definitions of court is wherever a sovereign is, and that is basically wherever you are. So, and you're the higher court when you're dealing in the fictitious world of the black-robed freaking priests that are in there trying to get tithes and on offerings to the crown by fleecing the citizens. Coco Savage, thank you. P. Cruz, do you ever have guests on your live? I've tried that before, but typically my lives are set up to help individuals on a case-by-case basis by every question that comes my way. I try to help everybody one-on-one. Weatherby, thank you for the heart. Much appreciated. And when I go on lives, like typically there's somebody in the background scratching their balls, eating like a bowl of soup, like talking about how frogs are chirping in the background. It's like that. It really doesn't help out much. So I've done it once or twice, but it just doesn't really help. I see that you posted, Veronica. Please tap the screen. Likes are free, information is priceless. But all it says is Veronica pinned a comment, but it doesn't show again what. It's probably going to take them a little while. It took them like 2 months to be able to allow you to pin stuff, so it'll probably take a little bit longer before I can see what you're actually pinning. But they're getting better. Like I see them, I know that they're doing coding all the time, because I will get a notification of one new like, and it'll say this guy and 78 others liked your video, and it's like it shows up as one like, but it's grouped 78 people into one like, so like that's new. And then they allow me now, which is beautiful, when I have pirates come onto my videos and try to reel people in by teaching them false information and charging them on my videos. I used to have to go into the video and delete every single one, because these pirates will come on there and message like 20-30 times to people, oh, I'll teach you the process, oh, come this way, I'll teach and I had to delete every one of them. Now I can go in my notifications and swipe left and delete and delete and delete. So it's so cool. Like they are updating stuff all the time. But I was surprised at my last video, taxes. I thought for sure breaking down the tax system would go out to more than 6,000 people, but they might be doing it slowly, through over time. I don't know. All right, so Solo, since again, please, so I can write down. Solo, if you want this information, this live will be on YouTube. You can go on YouTube and watch it, or you can go on my Telegram group and listen to the audio. That's how I learned a lot of the stuff that I know and I'm talking about. Is I used to be at work, and I'm one of the lucky people that could perform my job while also studying. So I would just throw in my earpieces and I would listen to MP4s, MP3s, audios like all day while watching as a supervisor, making sure basically the kids didn't hurt themselves. And I call them kids, but they're adults. But it was basically, it's like an adult daycare out in the field, making sure that they don't hurt each other or blow stuff up or whatever. So Russell Lee Massengill, what is the best way for a mother get custody back from her mother, which has temporary custody? The best way is to always try to handle things in the private outside of court. The only reason for court is for basically enforcing or getting an administrator to give judgment between two people who can't agree on something. So the best remedy is to try to get a private agreement between the other opposing party outside of court, and then you can squash everything like all day long. But Veronica, yeah, I can't see the pen. Solo. So I'm fighting the bank right now on the car loan dealership committed contract fraud and forger. How did they create contract fraud? Would they sign your name on something? Typically when you go get a car loan, what they usually do is they're like, hey, I've got these 7 different bank buddies that I deal with all the time, and you just have to sign this power of attorney so that I can find the best deal for you. And you sign amongst the 50 documents that you sign on getting a car, one of them says that he can shop around to try to get the best deal for you, and they'll go to different banks to try to get the lowest interest rate to try to save you money, quote unquote. So funny how they work in the public. Like, we don't really know what's going on. Solo, same here. P. Cruz, do I need the MCO MSO to place a UCC lien on a vehicle, and what UCC should I do? Yes, you have to sell the car if it's been registered, because it is now controlled by the state, and you want to get a new car that's never been registered, or you need to remove the dashboard and get a new VIN number, one that's never been registered. And then you can create a true car title, and I have playlists on all this stuff. Then you can put it in a security agreement, and then you can register that security agreement on a UCC1. Typically you don't want to actually put all the documents on the UCC1. The UCC1 is an international financial notice that's of some security agreement or some financial interest. So you can put all the information like the collateral, the amount, the loan agreement number, and all that stuff on the UCC. And typically you want to do a non-UCC filing and click that, which makes it private. All right, moderator, pinned a comment, but it still doesn't show. Yes, I'm getting shadow banned, Daydream Believer. And I don't know if it's going out to teens. I haven't seen any 11-year-olds liking, but also some of my stuff gets bundled together. Like I'll get one notification and it'll say Jimmy and 105 other people just liked your video or something like that. I thought, so my last video was on breaking down the entire tax system, and I'm like, this is going out to 20,000-30,000 people, and it stopped at like 4,000 or 5,000, and I was like, what in the world? So yeah, I'm kind of getting shadow banned, but it is what it is. I think when I start getting back into commerce stuff, it'll start going out to more people, but it is what it is. I hope they remove that as my default audience after my last video. Please tap the screen, likes free. Thank you, Veronica. P. Cruz, Russell Lee, Maskell, did she contract all for it? All right. Solo, TILA Act violation. I don't even know what that is, a TILA Act violation. We got to look that up. TILA Act violation. I wish I had two hands, but my mic's blocking. Oh, you mean Tesla? Is that what you meant to put instead of TILA? Alright, payment amount. Follow. Thanks for the follow. Hickory's grandmother filed paperwork with temporary payment amount terms different from that contract copy. So sometimes they charge taxes, titles, dues, fees, and all that stuff for services like all the time. Like you'll go online and you'll buy a hotel for somewhere and it's like, oh, $100 to buy the hotel, and then they're like, oh, it's a $75 travel fee, or like freaking tourist fee or something, something crazy. Like they just sometimes they throw in stuff. But if there's fraud, there's no statute of limitations on fraud. You can always call them out on that stuff. Charles, yep, my website is Anointed New Foundation of Peace.life. Thank you, Veronica, and you got it right this time. There won't no nature, spirit, or commerce attached to it. But all of those paths are in there, including my playlists now. I put my playlists on my website. I only have like 10 more commerce videos to update, but everything else is there. All the nature's there, all the foundation, all the spirit, and over 3/4 of the commerce are on there. But I'll probably finish that up Monday. So take some time, browse around on the website. It's free. Truth in Lending. Oh, I see Truth in Lending at. Yeah, so if you want to DM me, it's real easy to beat that. Well, when I looked up what you said, the first thing that popped up was Tesla Act violation. Yeah, you can call them out. So that's what's beautiful about learning all the public policies, codes, and statutes, and UCCs and USCs and all that stuff is the public corporations that are registered to do business are bound by all that stuff. We're not. Our U.S. citizen can be, but we're not bound by all this stuff, and you can call them out on this stuff all day long. But typically, whenever I use like a UCC or USC or Federal Code of Regulation, or whatever, I always put it inside of a box because it is private, copywritten public policies and codes. And if you're trying to take the sovereign's position, you don't want to give up jurisdiction. So just always put it in a box. All right, so Weatherby. Oh no, Solo. Charles, I must say, out of everyone on TikTok, you're the only one as far as information that I real. Yeah, this is what's so funny is that I'm giving all this information for free and listen to. And it's all there for y'all to use, but TikTok's kind of shadow banned me. It just doesn't go out. Like I got 20 people on here. The most I've ever had was 200, and I think that was when I was talking about houses. I was talking about taking house title out, and I'll scroll on TikTok and I'll see someone that's just sitting there. They are literally just sitting on live TikTok being silent, and I looked and it's like there's 480 people on there. 480 people are watching this person just stare at the screen being silent. 23,000 likes, and I'm like, what is going on? It's just crazy. And then I'm up here giving life-changing information that will change the entire earth, and it's like, I got 20 people on here. Or I'll break down the entire tax system and I'll send it out, and it'll be like 4,000 people. It's like, whatever, but at least, like I said, I have reached millions of people. So at the end of the day, that's the beautiful thing, and I appreciate all the like, support, and share and all that stuff. Solo, thank you for the rose. Veronica, thank you for the big love. Times 7 times big love, much appreciated. I hope you're going to enjoy your vacation that's coming up. That's going to be fun. I'd like to see like a picture or something when you're out there, something pretty. Weatherby, paid cash for house. Do you have info on how to report that and get deed? So yeah, I can tag you in a video. Eventually I'm going to make a video on how to get the true title of it. But basically, even though you think you own the house, they quote, we're basically tenants on someone else's property. We're trustees for someone else's property, and if you don't pay taxes on it, the true controllers will come and take it from you because you don't have the true title over it. So it doesn't matter if you paid cash or not. It doesn't matter. Same thing with a car. You could pay cash outright, no liens on it, boom, done. But if they register the MCO to the state, done. It belongs to them. Same thing with a house. You could pay cash on it all day long and have no mortgage, but you don't have the true title over the property. And we're not taught all this stuff, but that's just how it works. Whenever you have like a claim, you have to have proof and title to stake a claim and to get controlling ownership. All right, so Solo, that's a fly on the wall. I have, but they're giving me the runaround. My copy is different from the bank's copy. Yeah, so typically the bank, they bundle and sell their security agreements on the world stage. So I don't know what's different between their copy and your copy, other than the CFO has to sign the back in order to deposit that check, which I call it a check. It's a negotiable instrument. It is a promissory note that you create the funds or create the signature that creates the asset. So, but they've been authorized to do that. So blah blah blah. All right, moderator pin. Weatherby. Yep, I have to tax notice now. Yep, yeah, you will, because you're basically the trustee of someone else's property, and that's how we all get tricked. Daydream Believer. I definitely need to put my home in a trust for the kids. Now, guys, you can put a house in trust, and it is protected to a certain extent, especially if it's registered. If the trust is registered, to do business in the public offers a lot of benefits for using them, in the public. So that's why marriages, a lot of, I always say women, but people enjoy the benefits of being married in the public, because the public does offer a lot of benefits for using their services, for registering stuff to them. You can put a house in a trust, and it is protected from all things except if you don't pay taxes. So that's taxes is one of the highest liens, is the county's lien on a house. So but other than that, as long as the taxes keep being paid, like typically your house is protected from all kinds of things, and there's all kinds of things you can do, including you can sell your house to your kids for next to nothing, or a lot of people want to gift, but you can sell stuff through security agreements. You can sell your house for $180. You can sell your car for $100 or so. You can sell a $30,000 car in the public to someone for $15, and as long as they don't sell it for more than $15, there's no tax liability. Everybody gets caught up on the gifting thing. Like, don't gift. If you're using your citizen in the public to do things, don't gift. Sell it. Just sell it to them for next to nothing. Then you don't have to worry about probate. You don't have to worry about trust law. You don't have to worry about going through all this stuff in the public, all the limitations on donating that your U.S. citizen, quote unquote, can do because it's controlled by somebody else. Like, avoid all that crap. Sell your car for $100 through a security agreement for something that they did for you. Like, and memorialize that. You can put that on a UCC1. And now guess what? It's enforceable anywhere on Earth, and the U.S. can't interfere in it. And then you've just basically, quote unquote, given somebody a $30,000 car for $100. As long as they've, I try to always stay honorable. I try my best to never ever lie and to be above board. And that's what's so wild when you start learning that the whole legal system is false and crazy. But try to stay above board with all your commercial activities, because it's hard once you start trying to be fraudulent and sneaky and try to do what they do to try to keep up with all that crap. So have somebody put a post hole in your ground and exchange them for a car, like or sell it. It's best to sell it for more than $21. Or sell it for gold. You could do that too. You could put the car. Well, if you had true title, that's the problem with stuff like that. If you had true title to it, then you could do whatever you wanted with it. Then you could, if you had it in true title and you put it in a sovereign trust and somebody else had a sovereign trust or whatever, you could just give them whatever you want without the U.S. interfering. But when stuff's like registered to them, you got to know the rules of the game. All right, Solo, I'll check my messages. No response. Must have been a fake account, but I'll send another one. I check all my messages. I have two folders for messages. One is filtered, which is typically like spam, like random, OnlyFans chicks trying to get me to, like their links or something. And then there's like inbox that I need to accept. And I have those two different on my TikTok, and I haven't seen anything from you unless, like, if you've messaged me right now, of course I can't reply because I'm on my live, and I'm like not checking all that stuff. Yep, Texas. All right. Amount, duration of payments, no recession form. Oh, hold on. So these are the issues that have happened. Amount is different. Duration of payments, no recession form. Also, they took out a powertrain warranty, and I did not receive the last few documents. Yeah, you should be. You should be allowed to, typically in trust law, the beneficiary does not have to be told that a trust exists, but you are the trustee of that property. So you have a right to have all legal documents that are involved with the transactions and over that property. So you should be able to get whatever they're trying to enforce. Now, if the bank has a different if the bank, you're saying that you have the documents anyway, so which is it? You don't have the documents, or you do have original documents where you signed a power of attorney of certain things, and then they have new documents. So, like I say, you can DM me and we can, look at a couple of things, but it's up to you. Veronica, I have significantly more than $100, but I would love to get a car. Yeah, me too. I'd love to get a car for $100. Plant Eater, can we set up a call soon to discuss some trust and tax topics? Yeah, I give consultations all the time. Thanks, Veronica, for telling that. All right, guys, this live will be on my YouTube. The audio will be on my Telegram group. You can DM me, you can call me, you can email me. Like, all this stuff is linked on my website, which is linked on my profile page of TikTok. I have playlists to re-educate everybody. Please take time to go through it. People love DMing me all the time and asking me questions, and it's like, watch the playlist on my profile. You will get re-educated. You will understand how everything works. And then I always have people like, okay, and then they come back days later and they're asking questions, or they're not retaining. Now, when I can clearly tell that someone says that they've watched my playlist and either they're not retaining any of it, or they clearly have not watched them, then I'm kind of like, look, let's circle back. Like, watch this video or watch this one, if you don't want to watch all of them. But my consultations are free. I don't charge for anything. Daydream Believer, what is the best place to set up a website? I used, what is it called? The WordPress or something? I think I used WordPress. It's federally registered to do business in public, whatever. But I'm on here doing donations and gifting type basis, so I'm not like trying to do public commerce. I'm more engaged in like not for profit. That's how I work. Yeah, I know it's hard to retain information. It takes a long time to study and learn all this stuff. When I have a stolen identity, you talking about the U.S. citizen solo? You talking about somebody? When you give somebody a power of attorney, it's not stolen. You've given them authority to use your citizen's name. You're the authorized representative for that entity, and when you give up authority, and that's how we all get tricked. We're all sovereign, but we give up our sovereignty through benefits and privileges all day long through contracts that we make. Yeah, WordPress is great. That's what I used, Daydream Believer. Retention can be difficult. You have a lot of knowledge. Yeah, it took me years. Like, it's like exercise. It's over and over again repeating. Like, I'm trying to learn another language right now, and it's like, it's hard for me to retain because I've got all this freaking commercial stuff bouncing around in my noggin, and all this nature stuff and spirit stuff, and trying to learn a new language is kind of difficult. So I'm getting ready to wrap up, guys. Solo, no, I'm sorry. I'm just saying it's hard to retain information when I have stolen identity issues. Okay, yeah, I can help you out, man. Or woman. Sorry, Solo is kind of a neutral. Are you learning Russian? I'm studying Turkey. I'm studying Turkey. My first wife was Russian, and she only wanted to teach me cuss words, and because she didn't want me flirting with any other Russian chicks, so she only taught me curse words and like how to say, like, where's the bathroom, whatever. But yes, go ahead, y'all. My website is anointednewfoundationofpeace.life, and you can go. It's linked on my profile page of TikTok, so go on, click on my little emblem and look on there. I have playlists to re-educate the public. I have my website that has all my social media links. Y'all can go on there. Thanks for all the support and likes and lives. Weatherby, got my first extortion statement for school loan. Info on how to address the presentment. Yep, so that's in my playlist on my profile page, Weatherby. If you want to watch commerce, that'll help you out. Yeah, message me, Daydream Believer. I'm here for you. I'm here for all y'all. So not just beautiful chicks. So by the way, this live will be on YouTube. Feel free to watch it. All my information is free on the website. I hope you guys have a great Friday. I'm going to wrap up. I appreciate all your support and love and all the gifts and likes and follows and shares and all that stuff. So everything's free to you guys. So have a great weekend. Thanks for everything. Hope you enjoy it.